Hey, welcome to the channel. Matt, I want to talk to you a little bit today about the choices that I made as far as riding gear is concerned. If you're interested in some other options and maybe ones you considered, I want to talk to you a little bit about on-body armor and why I made those choices. So stay tuned. Okay, let's talk about the choices that I made and the reason why I decided to go with on-body armor. So got pretty heavy back into the motorcycle market in about 2013 in Savannah, Georgia, and bought a jacket just from the motorcycle shop that I was close to, and didn't buy mesh and sweated like crazy. Really never was comfortable in it, but I always wore it because I'm one of these that is a big fan of wearing protective equipment, and I'll explain to you why as we go through this. But invested some more money later on, 2016. Got the BMW. 2017. I went through a bunch of stuff. Started with a 100% mesh 4-season setup where you had multiple layers. I felt like the Pillsbury Doughboy when I was in the stuff. I tried everything on with all the inner equipment inside of it, as far as the quilted lining and the rain lining. And then it was inexpensive stuff. It was really cheap stuff. It lasted me less than a riding season. I started having trouble with zippers. And the one thing that I noticed was that when I reduced the layers underneath the jacket, I lost the functionality of what the padding or the protective gear was supposed to do, because it floated around, especially in my elbows and my arms. And when I cinched everything down with the additional straps to make everything fit where it's supposed to, it was so close to my body that it was really, really uncomfortable. And being from the Southeast and now living in the upper part of Tennessee, I actually stopped riding a motorcycle in, I would say, the 1st of June, and I really never get back on one until September. And that's unfortunate, but it's because it's too hot to ride. So I started doing my research before getting my 2025 GS Adventure, and I knew I was going in another direction. I had a mesh jacket, and I had a rain underliner that I could wear underneath it. I had done that on a trip all the way to Connecticut from Georgia. And once that equipment, meaning the riding jacket, got wet, it was done. I mean, it doubled the weight. It was extremely uncomfortable to wear. But again, I didn't sacrifice it. I literally drove up there. I spent 2 days up there. The equipment was downstairs in the basement, so it wasn't exposed to sunlight. 2 days later, when I went to leave out, it was still damp. It was cold when I left too, so that didn't help matters any. But it did dry throughout the course of the day, but I knew that wasn't an option. I started looking around at 3-season apparel, and I was going to spend the money this time, because basically what I've spent up to this point and what I had, if I'd have just got good stuff to begin with, I would have actually saved money. So when I started doing my research, I looked at the major manufacturers. Climb was one of them that I looked at. I had some Sidisi stuff, which was the second generation of what I bought that I ended up not liking. And I started finding out a little bit through watching some videos on YouTube about a direction that people are going to in Europe, which is on-body armor with layers over the top. So a layering system where your armor itself is in a mesh or in a very tight to your skin location, and then you progress from there. So I felt good about that. And I stumbled across 3 major manufacturers of that type of riding apparel. One of them was for outer garments, but the other 2 were on-body armor, and that was Adventure Spec and Knox Armour. And both of those companies are based out of England. Where exactly, I don't know. Guys, I'm not from that side of the pond. You probably are very, very familiar with that area. I am not, but Knox does a fantastic job of representing their products. The downside is, where I live at, especially in the US, there isn't any place to try this stuff on. So you get into my favorite picture, and it's actually on my wall. This is kind of my theme picture when it comes to life in general. So I am going to try to keep you from losing footing on the tightrope. And this is what you'll see me going back to. So I was a little bit on the fence about which direction I was going to go and which equipment I wanted. And I knew I needed to purchase this stuff early in the season. Reason being, I know what the availability is of this stuff as you get into the riding season. It sells out. It's always in limited quantities and limited sizing. So I watched all the size guides and got as much information as I could possibly get. I didn't take the time to spend the money on something as simple as a cloth tape measure. So $3 at Walmart. I think it's even less than that. All right, that helps you a lot as far as picking sizing on equipment. But I got really nervous when I started thinking about purchasing this stuff from Knox and purchasing this stuff from Adventure Spec, because if the sizing is wrong, who pays the shipping to return it back to Europe? And, you know, I didn't do a lot of investigating, but that made me a little antsy. But I went by the sizing charts for both manufacturers, and I will tell you that they're pretty spot on. So the first item that I'm going to review for you is actually Knox. And the reason why I picked Knox was I found a U.S. retailer that stocked it. That was Revzilla. And lots of payment options with Revzilla, so I didn't have to come up with a bunch of money all at once in cash, and I didn't have to, you know, really bend myself over with it too much. And I actually chose the Knox because at the time, and I think this is still true, Knox is the only manufacturer that has the pants and the jacket. So I'm basically going to try to show you. I got to walk off camera here a little bit to get it out, but I'm basically going to show you what I chose, and what I chose is the Knox Urbane Pro. And I'm looking back off camera so I can see my phone, but the Knox Urbane Pro is a 100% mesh CE level 2 on-body jacket. And I say jacket because it feels like a jacket. It has the soft Armour, and I can just raise this up so you can see just how flexible this is. This is just a back plate. I'm just going to take it out partially because I really don't want to have to take it all back in there. But you see how flexible and how movable this is? This turns stiff with impact. And it gives you the added protection with the flexibility, and in this case, the ventilation. So this is 100% mesh. Now, this is a CE level 2A garment. So if you're not familiar with the CE ratings or European ratings, because we don't have anything in the US for this, they can basically sell anything and tell you it's a motorcycle jacket. CE level 1 is for primarily off-road use and low speed, low drag ratio. How much is it going to protect your body in the event of a slide? CE level 2 is for what most motorcyclists that ride interstate tarmac, 2-lane, 4-lane type roads would want to wear. And 3 is pretty much track. And if you're a track rider, you may be required to wear CE level 3. So I don't know the answer to that. I've never done track. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this on. And when I do this, I'm going to show you one of the things that you have to be aware of if you're thinking about this. So my chest is about a 42-inch. I typically wear a size large in clothing. And when I wear a size large in clothing, it's usually pretty loose fitting on me. I don't like anything super tight to my skin. So size large is what I wear in US for regular shirts. I believe it's 16 and a half, 34, 35 in dress shirts. So I'm pretty long in my arms. And that's always been a little bit of a struggle, is getting my arm length right. So, all right, so there you go. All right, so this is very close to the body, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see through this with the shirt that I put on underneath it, but I will tell you that it is literally see-through. Okay, so with a flashlight, and I come in pretty close on camera, you can actually see the blue shirt underneath. So you see how much ventilation you're getting through the central part of the chest. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it's actually in the arms as well. You probably can't see it as much in the arms. But here, there's a tremendous amount of ventilation. But you see how tight this is on body? So I got about a 34-inch waist. So I will tell you that if you order size large in this stuff and you are not happy with your body figure, you're definitely going to be advertising it, okay? But it fulfills the purpose that I want it to fulfill, which is it's putting all of this elbow pad, shoulder pad, and back plate in a fixed position that does not move, roll, or rotate. This is important, okay? So the Knox stuff comes with these thumb straps, for lack of a better word. I guess it's optional as to whether or not you want to use those. It does assist you with putting the stuff on and taking the stuff off. It's not uncomfortable to wear it here, but I think the theory and the principle behind this is it's designed to make it to where it doesn't slide up your arm if you get into a situation with slide. So basically, I have CE level 2 protection as close to my body as possible. That's going to give me the flexibility to go over the top of it with whatever is necessary for the type of riding and type of season that I'm in. And I'll give you an example. And voila! Miracles of modern technology. So now I've got the Knox on underneath, basically an oversized shirt. It's a riding jersey, right? It's as flow through and as lightweight as I can possibly get it to be. This is what my interest is, okay? So I've got my Armour as close to my body as possible, and now I'm ready for summer riding. Summer riding turns into a rainstorm. Go to my side bag, my waterproof gloves. Set those aside for just a second. My packing cube has reduced the size of this rain jacket. And just this quickly, I'm now ready for the rain. This is the Adventure Spec Linesman jacket. You'll see this in a future review. This is going to be the outer membrane, the rain layer. It's specifically designed for motorcycles, okay? So now, I don't have anything big, obtuse. I don't look like a transformer. I have the ability to modify what's on the outside so that I'm more subdued in the fact that I'm riding a motorcycle. I'm not interested in advertising it. I just want to get off the motorcycle, walk into Walmart, get the stuff that I need because it's 25 miles from the house. Come back out, put it in my side bags, and go home. Just that simple, okay? So this is actually loose enough to where I can put a quilted or fleece liner underneath it. The synthetic quilted is probably what I'll do. But you see just how close the on body this is. My protection's where it needs to be. My dexterity is there, even with the jacket over the top of it. And just as quickly, it stops raining, and I come out of it. Could you wear the Knox Armour by itself, just like without this on? Absolutely. I mean, it's just mesh, right? Why am I a fan of doing something like this? Because I want to protect this from UV damage. I don't think this is any issue with anything that I'm showing you. I don't think UV breakdown over time is going to be an issue. I really don't. But I still want to protect it. And all this stuff is machine washable. You just take the pads out, throw it in a wash machine, take it out. You're good to go, right? I still don't want to expose it to the elements any more than I have to, so I like to put something like this on over the top. Am I going to get broken bones wearing this stuff? You know, Fort9 does a great YouTube thing about whether there's too much hype involved with motorcycle riding gear and CE ratings and all this other stuff. He's an engineer, I'm not. I'm only trusting the technology and the information that's available to me, which is CE. And I want to protect myself against the skid. I will probably get a broken collarbone. I will probably get some other type of bone fracture. But my personal knowledge base, and I go back to National Highway Transportation Safety Administration stats. The biggest cause of accidents involving motorcycles is usually involving another vehicle, and it's usually a front collision. Those are all situations where it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt bad. Okay, this is going to give me a lot of protection. This newly formed, I want to say liquid that turns into a solid, but it's not. But you give the analogy where this becomes stiff when it's impacted. It's tried, it's true, it's tested, it's proven, it works. Okay. I want that protection, but I also want the protection for my skin layer, because I also know, and it should be common sense to anybody, that the biggest risk factor that you're going to have after a motorcycle accident, besides broken bones, is going to be the risk of infection. And I don't want somebody in a hospital grafting skin from different parts of my body or from a cadaver to fix me up. I'm just not into that, okay? I recently broke an elbow. I've got titanium in this elbow from the tip of my elbow up about 5.5 inches, I think. There's about 8 screws in there. I was able to recover from that in about 5 weeks. Back to work in 5 weeks without restrictions. So broken bones are going to happen, and broken bones are something that can be addressed pretty quickly, but road rash and the infection associated with it is something that's going to take a lot longer, and that's what I want to protect myself against, okay? So this is my justification for the money that I've spent on this stuff, and to be honest with you, I'm coming out with all the layers that I just showed you. I'm coming out cheaper by a lot over some of the bigger names with 3-layer garments, where you have the rain layer, the Gore-Tex membrane on the outside, and then you have the padding throughout. And then I've got the breathability for riding seasons that are within my area, okay? So I would encourage you to consider this as an option, and then you can wear whatever you want to wear over the top, okay? So I've basically just given you a pretty good review of the Knox jacket. I'm going to come back out of my outer here. My motor jersey, just so I can talk for just a little bit more about the jacket itself. So the Knox jacket is and feels like a jacket. Now, as far as weight, I can only try to give you an estimate of what I think this weighs in US, because it's another thing that kind of gets on my nerves is everything that's been done on this as far as reviews has been done in metric. In the US, we use imperial, okay? In the US, our zippers are on the right side, not on the left side. These are all minor inconveniences, but if you're like me and you're trying to figure out what size you need and what you want, let's keep it in normal terms for what we're used to on this side of the pond. And you guys can watch the other videos if you're in Europe and get it in metric. And then you have both. I don't want to sit here and try to convert it. So to try to give you an idea what the weight of it is, because I really just can't take this thing and put it on a scale, right? Kind of hard to do that. So, all right, so using my rudimentary method of standing on scale, heavy weight, empty weight, the jacket, Knox jacket, 4.8 pounds. So I'm adding 5 pounds to my body weight for protection, level 2 protection, with 100% ventilation. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer, okay? So this is why I'm such a fan of on-body armor in a mesh. The protection, the mobility, and the lack of weight. So it's a great deal. All right. So the next thing I'm going to try to review with you is the Knox pants. So as I told you before, Knox is the only one who has the pants and the jacket as a set that I'm aware of in the on-body stuff. All right. So This is the Knox Urbane Pro, Threat Level 2, with hip protection and knee protection. It's soft body armor, okay? So it's, give you an idea how soft it is. That's folded up right there, okay? Try if I can get that in view. That's the knee protection. And it goes from about here to here, and I'll show you that when I put it on. I got this in a 36, and I got the long. Now I'll explain why I did the 36. I wanted to make sure that I could put something on thermal wise underneath this instead of over the top of it. That's kind of my mindset, is when it's cold, I'll put something on that's going to insulate this for temperature, and then I'll put something on over the top of it that will give me the wind protection, and then if needed I can actually add some extra. All right, so this is the 36. I'm usually 35 in pants. It does have straps on the side here that are adjustable and kind of hook and lock in place. And that gives you a little bit of a cinch, but it also has belt loops. Okay, so the belt loops are going to be critical for this, and the reason why I say that is the belt loops are going to give you the opportunity to tighten this up and to keep this from sagging when you're standing. So obviously not going to be an issue when you're walking. And with them being in the long length, they're about a 34 and in the bent position on a motorcycle. When my knee is in the bent position on a motorcycle, I still have it all the way down to the bottom. That also gives me the ability to tuck that into a motorcycle boot. Just recently tried those. Haven't been a big fan of them up to this point, but I did get some. So that's it. So you could see just in this view, and perhaps if I turn this a little bit, I can get my knee in here, that this is very low profile, but the bottom of the protection on the knee is here, and the top of it is here. And that's where the pants sagging on me a little bit. If I put them back into the position they should be in, where I would normally wear them, it's at the top of the knee. And it seems to be like it's folded in towards the center a little bit. So, is this maximum protection? Is this for off-road use? No, it's probably not. But is this sufficient for what I do, which is 90% road and 10% off? Then yeah, I would absolutely say it is. And then there's a lot of ventilation in this. So put the old testy flashlight on here so you can probably see. There is a significant amount of ventilation that is here, and a significant amount of ventilation on the back side. It's all mesh on the back side, at the back side of the leg. So up in the top, there's a zipper as well. So, you know, if you have to drop a deposit, it's pretty easy to do. There are 2 pockets on the sides on this. I didn't mention this on the Urbane Pro jacket. There's only 1 pocket. It's center of the back, small of the back. And there are no pockets at the rear on the right side, and this is not a pocket in the center. This is actually to attach trying to get that to where you can see it. This is to attach the jacket to the pants. The other thing that I didn't mention, and I should mention for you, is with the Urbane Pro jacket, you have there are some pockets on the inside. Just not noticing those. There's some small pockets on the inside for you to store, small items. But there's loops on the inside for you to run a belt through. So you can run the belt, if you wanted, you could run the belt loops through the jacket as well, and then it would tie the jacket down. I personally never will do that. Okay, I'm not really worried about it sliding up. The beauty of the pants is, and again, I usually have a belt, but the beauty of the pants is they're very subdued. You can see that you don't really know, or you can't tell by looking at them, that they're riding pants. Okay. Now, could you get jeans? Yeah, absolutely. Kind of off camera here, but you understand what I'm getting at. I'm really focusing my attention on the pants and not me anyway. But Could you get riding jeans? Yes. I personally hate denim pants. I've never been a big fan of blue jeans. Are they going to take forever to dry if you get pants? Yes, absolutely. So this is mesh. So I'm going to show you what I normally do in a situation like that. All right, so this is what I do. This is a pair of very lightweight, stay dry-ish, quick dry type material. These are actually Eddie Bauer. But there's several people that are, you know, pants that are out there like this. And this is just ultra lightweight, ultra thin material. And I'm able to put this over the top. And, you know, you can see, pretty form-fitting. You notice that you're really not seeing a profile of a riding pant anywhere in there. I mean, you see a little bit in the knee, but, you know, it's not significant, right? So, I can really subdue this all down to where I look just like anybody else does when I walk in and go anywhere. You know, riding boots might be the only other option that might give it away. I really don't care what people think. I'm more concerned about what's comfortable, where my body armor is, and by putting something like these pants over the top of it, I'm just protecting the equipment itself. I don't have to worry about bug splat and things like that. I don't have an exhaust heat issue or burning or scorching of my equipment on my bike because it's the BMW and there isn't really any hot points on the exhaust. But you can see it just lowers the profile, right? And this gives me the pockets that I need for things, you know, up front and, you know, wallet or whatever the case may be. The only other thing that I have that I want to talk about a little bit, and I'm going to slide up here with it, that I have from Knox is the Urbane Pro Summer Glove and the Urbane Pro Waterproof Glove. Those are off camera. So, this is 100% mesh, but it gives you the same protection that you would get from the jacket and pants, right? So these are short cuff, and there's a reason why I wear the short cuff. The primary reason is I am an Apple Watch wearer and an Apple Watch fan. This is my backup. I have SOS on the bike, but this is my backup. So if something happens, I have a way to make contact with whoever I need to. What I would recommend if you do the Apple Watch is that you take the band and turn the band so that the dial that's on the side is actually on the outward side. I've actually done an emergency notification by pushing the panic button on this side, and I wouldn't recommend that. Okay, you're probably gonna meet some dispatchers mad. But anyhow, the reason why I chose the Urbane Pro is I wanted the protection. I didn't want anything that would limit me as far as dexterity. They do work really well with this smartphone. The touch in the tip of the fingers and the thumb works fantastic. I'm using Chiggy, and I have my iPhone, so I'm able to do that. These are size large, so they fit well with my hand. They'll be true to size with anything that you wear as far as gloves is concerned. If you were to get a pair of mechanics work gloves, put them on, figure out what size they are inside the store, you can order these. They would be the same way. They do give you one advantage, and this would be the advantage over what you would get if you were, besides the protection that you're getting in the knuckles and everything else. This fabric here is significantly thicker than what it is on the center of the jacket. It's more equivalent to what it is with the protection areas in the elbows of the jacket. But the scaphoid protection, so if you haven't heard about scaphoid injuries, it's basically somewhere in the wrist. And what happens is when you go down on a motorcycle, if your hands plant, which is what's going to be your tendency is your hands are in front of you like this. If you don't have some type of a slide, then you break the scaphoid when you go forward. And it doesn't take a lot to break scaphoid. So this is kind of a harder, more denser TPE type material. I don't really know what you call it. And it's designed to make it to where it slides. It doesn't affect my hand when it's on the grips of the motorcycle. I don't even know that it's there, okay? The securement on these is kind of unique. It just basically folds down on top of itself, and it's not coming off. You're not going to rip this glove off, all right? So I don't like the over-the-wrist type gloves. I never have. I want the dexterity, so I get it from this. And this is the waterproof Action Pro. Now this is a little bit higher on the wrist. Obviously it's going to need to be because it's waterproof and you don't want water getting in. So this basically is their waterproof version of that, and it's very low. You can pretty much see. I'm trying to get this in camera as much as I can. It's, maybe I can highlight these a little bit with a flashlight, but extra light. Trying to get this in frame for you. So the rain, again, you got the touch points for the fingers and for the thumb, highlighted with this blue dot. And this is going to be the waterproof version of the Knox glove. So I think this is going to be good for a couple of seasons as far as weather is concerned. I have heated grips and I have guards over the outside of my fingers. Time will tell me whether or not I need to invest in heated gloves, but I think this is going to be my cold weather wet solution, and this is definitely the Urbane Pro, my warm weather solution. It's fantastic. I did get these wet on one of my rides before I got these gloves to come in, the waterproof ones, and I will tell you that the leather seemed to dry pretty quickly, and the outer section of it seemed to dry pretty quickly. It didn't feel tremendously uncomfortable while I was riding with it, but definitely a fan of this. Now we get into the downside of all of this that I just got through discussing with you, and that is U.S. retailers. I've looked around a little bit online looking for places that I could purchase this stuff because I want to purchase it from U.S. retailers for U.S. returns. The shipping is unbelievable, and I don't know the tariff situation or what's going on. I know that there is a lot of tax in England, and I've noticed this with some of the stuff that I purchased that's come from over there. There's quite a bit. When I ordered these were not available. These are the Knox waterproofs. They were not available in the U.S. at the U.S. retailer that I was using, and I'm not going to call them out. I really don't want to throw anybody under the bus. That's not my motive with this. There are places to purchase this in the U.S. What you're going to find is when it's off season and there's not a lot of demand for it, they have unlimited sizes and unlimited stock. I didn't buy the gloves at the same time as I bought the jacket and the pants. I bought the Urbane Pro summer gloves at that time, and everything was shipped all at once. I got it pretty quickly from a U.S. retailer. When I went to buy the waterproof gloves, they were out of stock. And what I found with that particular purchase place is that they purchase a set amount in quantity, and they don't replenish their stock based on what they've used in inventory. I think they try to exhaust out the inventory. And the only reason why I think that is I noticed that they have the off sizes like extra small at discounted prices end of season, which tells me that they're trying to get rid of the inventory that they have. So I don't know how often they replace it, but I know when I go on the websites, I can't find what I'm looking for, and it's pretty frustrating, okay? That being said, that's the situation that I have with the Knox stuff is I believe it's shipped from outside the U.S. and then sold at certain retailers. What I can tell you about Adventure Spec, and I can also tell you this about Lone Rider, is they have U.S. shipping centers. So Lone Rider Shipping Center is in Mississippi, and Adventure Spec's shipping facility for the U.S. store is in Colorado. So, I mean, I live in Tennessee. I got my Lone Rider stuff in a couple of days, which was fantastic. When I ordered those waterproof gloves from across the pond, the shipping was added an additional 1/3 to the price of the gloves. And the gloves, I think both pairs of those gloves are around $100, which really isn't too bad as far as I'm concerned. So, adding that shipping, though, just makes it pretty much cost prohibitive. I mean, that's crazy, right? So I would caution you when you're purchasing this stuff to look at the size charts, use the tape measure that I discussed, and look at their sizing charts, because every manufacturer is just a little bit different. What I can tell you about Knox is they're very true to size. So I wear a size 34 in pants, and I got the 36s to give myself some additional room, and there's plenty of additional room in those pants. What I can tell you about the hand sizes on the Knox is that they're very true to size, so you're not going to have any issues there. There are only two lengths for the pants, a regular and a long. So If you're like me and you're about 33, 30, well, I would say 34 inches on the inseam, then if you get the regulars, they're probably going to come up a little bit short on you when you sit in the riding position. And if you're wearing something like what I'm doing with the pants, you know, I think it's going to really not matter to you. But for me, I think the long length is always better with the motorcycle stuff because typically you're in some type of a boot, right? So enough said about the Knox. It's fantastic, but I will say it is a jacket at 4.5 pounds. So if you like the content that I provided to you, please consider liking the video, obviously. If you're interested in more in relation to adventure riding and setup and equipment, then subscribe to the channel, but turn on notifications. And the only reason why I say turn on notifications is this is a very part-time affair for me. I don't purchase stuff for the purpose of just providing content. I purchase stuff based on what my investigations have been, and I make the decisions on what I want. And I'm just hoping that I can help you with a little bit more information and avoid the tightrope like I showed you in the picture there. And you don't want to slip and fall and hurt yourself on this kind of stuff. You want to one and done this stuff. But if you're like me and you live in an area where motorcycle retailers are not prevalent, and there are not many of them in the U.S. anyway that I know of, there's Cycle Gear and Revzilla. Cycle Gear is probably the only big retail chain that I know of, and I've seen them in major cities around Atlanta, places like that, but they're not everywhere. So you're going to be buying this stuff online. So I hope that my insights help you. And like I said, if you turn on the notification bell with your links, then you'll get the videos as soon as I put them up. So until next time, thanks for watching. Enjoy your ride.